You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. My name is Nick Sperry.
I'm Andrew Kouba.
I'm Samuel Graebner.
And the three of us are fresh off of our trip to Worlds 2025 in Milwaukee. Just got back. We're recovering. That was the last official supported by AMG X-Wing Worlds. And we're going to dive into, obviously, performance lists, Mr. Kalen Wong, spoiler alert, taking it all, our predictions and everything like that. But also, I just want to start off with just how it was for us and, how you guys felt Adepticon moving from Schaumburg in the Chicagoland area to a new venue in Milwaukee, how your experience was with that, and obviously just the con in general. So, Sam, I guess I'll start with you. What was Adepticon like for you?
Adepticon was a blast. I had so much fun. I came up from Tennessee to spend. I came in Thursday night, spent Friday playing X-Wing, spent Saturday playing X-Wing, Sunday moseyed around the con a little bit. I had a great time. It was a absolute delight to get to play X-Wing in person again. It's been a minute for me. Yeah, I had a great time. I would do it all over again.
And Andrew, what about you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely wonderful. Came up Thursday as well. It was so much fun seeing everybody and just had an absolute blast. I loved Milwaukee as a venue. It was so nice to be able to walk around outside of the venue, have a lot of places that were really easy to get to. I feel like in general, it was kind of an easy spot for a lot of people to get to. Like when I was talking with a lot of people that they didn't really have an issue getting there. And then for us, it's only just like an extra 40 minutes maybe. So it wasn't really even that big of a drive for us to
Yeah.
really be there.
And that's with traffic. It was like an
Right.
hour
Yeah.
and 20, I think, for me. Not too bad at all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I left Thursday after work and didn't really run into any traffic there either. But yeah, just had a great time overall. Couldn't have asked for a better weekend to do it, especially because it was really nice on Friday, but having it be kind of a little cold and rainy the rest of the time was a great reason to spend indoors and just play X-Wing.
It's perfect X-Wing weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a true non-spring kind of spring that we were entering into. It felt like I got that true Midwest experience being from California. I have spent enough time here that I've gotten used to that, but it just, when I go home as I did a few weeks ago, it is kind of a funny reminder that weather patterns are vastly different in the state of California on the West Coast than they are in Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, just the Midwest in general, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you guys. I think it being moved, Adepticon being moved at first kind of stung only because I was thinking about all the international travelers that, like, Worlds is Worlds, right? And I was like, that's not great. It's still not great because O'Hare as a hub airport is easier for people to get in and out of and get to.
Yeah.
But as a venue, it was like just miles, eons, galaxies above what we had at the Renaissance Center in Schaumburg. It felt like being in Milwaukee, actually being in the downtown area, like the venue's in a real place. It doesn't feel so isolated. It feels like you're around life, for lack of a better way to describe it. And it felt bigger. Like they said, it was bigger. That's why they were, they outgrew. That's what Adepticon said. We've outgrown Schaumburg. We got to move, and this is where we're going. And I could see that. It felt bigger while also not being overwhelming. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like, whoa, this is like, there's just way too many people. Like Gen Con gives that vibe. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to get COVID. I'm going to get very sick from existing in this general area because
I'm going to get
Gen Con is just so massive. Right. I'm going to get just completely trampled. Yeah. Overall, I mean, if I were to give it a rating, I'd give it a 9. I had no complaints. On that side of it, the con itself, I thought was great. I didn't really get to explore too much, and that's on me. But unfortunately, I mean, there are some downsides to playing well enough for Remake Day 2 that you don't get to do as much as maybe you'd be able to when it comes to side events and just exploring. You're playing 10 rounds of X-Wing takes a lot of time, especially with 90-minute rounds. So we'll dive into that as well.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. How'd you guys feel like you played overall? Like, without doing a bat rep of all your games, because there's a lot of games that we played. Like, what were your expectations going in? Um, and how'd you feel about it walking away?
I felt like I played not up to my best. I'll be honest. But played like some very stiff competition, and played like I liked my list going in. I liked my setup. I didn't have as much in person like physical on the table practice as I wanted. So I could tell coming in that I was a little rusty. Like my hands were a little shaky. I was not seeing the board as best I could in that first round. Um, didn't make any horrendous mistakes as far as I can tell, but I did have a judge call where I accidentally picked up the wrong ship while marking a ship, which is just like a dexterity error that
Hmm.
absolutely should never have happened. But and it worked out, like we got it sorted out, and the judges were excellent about that. But it was just one of those things where it's like if I'm on my A game, it doesn't happen.
I mean, and that happens. I get that. Yeah, I would say, for me, I went into this hoping to do well. I definitely did not play up to my best. I didn't do as much practice as I would have liked going into it. I felt that my list was good, but uh, I was making some blunders in my first game, and the second game, had a little bit of bad luck. I probably also could have played better as well, but both of those things combined knocked me out early. And I had fun, the rest of the game going 2 and 3. It definitely this weekend showed that there are a lot of blind spots in my game, and there's a lot I think more that I can be doing to just be a better player. But Nick, how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I I felt a little my confidence in my play has wavered a little bit in the over the last year. Play a lot of online X-Wing, and I have my moments where I'm like, I feel like I'm really making big brain choices and things are working out and I'm having some luck, and then I'm having things not go my way at all. And playing in person at some smaller events than LVO, and playing pretty well at LVO, but still missing cut. Like my expectation when I go to events is to make cut. And when I don't, at LVO was particularly frustrating because I had enough mission points I should have made cut and I just didn't because of the numbers and the amount of people that played. I was just like, I was unsure of like really what to expect. I really thought I wasn't going to make day two. I hoped I would. But every game that I played day one, I felt like I was in like complete command. It's weird to describe, but like I could see everything kind of unfolding the way I wanted to. I understood what my opponent's lists were doing, which in 2.5 is generally kind of hard to do, to fully grasp what your opponents are trying to do because there's so much to keep track of in 2.5.
Yeah.
And my opponents were just great people. So I felt like I could relax a little bit and maybe just dedicate more focus to my game because of the more relaxing environment where I felt like, okay, this is competitive, but no one's at each other's throats. No one's making bad assumptions or about, bad faith arguments or anything that's just truly can be really awkward in tournament settings. The X-Wing community is not known for that, but there are people who kind of take it very seriously, right? Like it is just so important to them that they win.
Yeah.
Um, I felt really confident in myself, and my day one went well, and I took the draw at the end because if I don't and I lose, I don't even make day two. So just kind of a victim of circumstance with the ID thing. Not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. And then day two, I was just like 3 games, 3-0. All of my wins were. I just felt really good about it, and then my last 2 games didn't go my way. Um, it took 8 rounds for me to make a blunt. Like it didn't. It's my ninth round of 10 where I actually made like an actual mental error. Um, I wasn't succumbing to the fatigue like I thought I would. Not normal to play that much X-Wing in that little time, to say the least.
Yeah.
And even the game where I made a serious mental error too, actually, I only lost by 4 points. I almost like I recovered almost fully, but I shouldn't have. Um, And what really sucks is my last game against Rathos, Stephen Kim. good buddy of mine, and we worked together in XWA. Uh, everything just went his way. It was just, well, it was disappointing because I had no chance from turn 0 or turn
Yeah.
1, really. Turn 1. My turn 0 was fine, but turn 1, the game was taken away from me, and I just knew I couldn't do anything about it. Folks, when you play Scramble with overlapping initiative and you move first almost the entire game, you will not win against good players. You just won't. And that was disappointing, but I was really thrilled with how I played. I was like, man, I can't be mad about this. 6-3-1 or whatever, 6-1-3, one draw in there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you had
So yeah,
an excellent showing.
validating, affirming. I'm not terrible. I'm actually pretty good sometimes, and it was nice to walk away from the last Worlds feeling like I had a really legitimate shot to make top cut. I was right there on the cusp. I was like 21st, I think,
Yeah.
top 24, which is like, again, really happy with that. And ultimately, spending time with you guys was really why I really wanted to do this. If I was alone and playing, I honestly feel like the overall vibes, hanging out with you, Alex, Sam, and all these other friends of ours, and being able to catch up and have a good time is what sets you up for success, to be able to play well. If I
Oh,
was
for sure.
alone and isolated, I don't know how many wins I would have gotten, but it would have been really hard because I wouldn't have been in as good of a mood. So yeah, the vibes were immaculate, as they say, and yeah, I felt good. Overall,
Yeah.
really happy, honestly.
No, you should be. That was incredible. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just great. I think it was interesting when you said that your opponents were all great people, but the vibes were a lot more chill this time around, which I felt that
Yeah,
too.
right. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Last year was
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Last year was different.
Yeah, for sure. It was a little more cutthroat. I think that because this is kind of like the end of the AMG era, and that everyone's looking forward to like XWA and the horizon, that this time around it was kind of just a more chill environment. You know, there was less at stake.
Yeah. But would you guys have predicted that though? Like, I feel like there's enough people out there who like treat this as the end of X-Wing when it's not, but they do treat it as the end of X-Wing, that it would have been a little bit more cutthroat. But, would you have expected it to be as chill as it ended up being?
There's an interesting thing that occurs in competitive gaming when you've got a dead format where like everything's been solved, or there are no more changes coming, and so like everyone knows that there's no point in trying to innovate or uh like stretch the boundaries, or you're only stretching the boundaries and not playing the meta lists, you know what I mean? So I can see that because it's the end of AMG points, there's this sense that like not nothing matters, not none of it matters, but like there's less at stake. There's less personal investment on the line because you're just playing dead points. Yeah, it opens up the space for a calmer, more chill environment.
Yeah, I mean, it was chill. Chill is a great way to describe it, honestly. I mean, I had a game against Brian Barter, and I was 2-0. Had already taken a loss day 2, and is like I didn't realize that our game mattered a lot for both of us. For me to keep the momentum going, for him to not get eliminated mathematically or whatever. And yeah, you wouldn't have guessed it. We were joking with each other, laughing, like just like talking shit and being dumb, and like that ended up being the greatest game that I had played of the 10 rounds I played. Especially when I look back at my score sheet, I took a photo of it. I scored 18 salvage points that game.
Yeah.
18 out of 20
That's
to win is
utterly wild.
unbelievable masterclass of playing salvage mission and getting a little lucky at the same time. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
sure.
wow, I get to say that I did that, and I didn't even know it until I returned. I asked for my slip back from the judges and looked at it again. I was like, oh my god, wow, okay. Um, and Brian and I were talking. He said, yeah, that was one of the most fun games that he had played. And that what was really nice is that people were just like, they tell me, it's like, I beat them, right? And they're like, I just had so much fun playing you. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying this to like pat myself on the back, but just like, everyone wants to win, but being a good opponent, or just like creating an environment where the game goes the way it goes, but you're both still engaged and having a good time, is like so important. And I feel like we really we collectively did a really good job of making that a thing, like making that a point at this Worlds.
Just going back to what you were talking about earlier as well. I didn't get the vibe from anybody that they thought X-Wing was dead.
Yeah, certainly not. This was just another, like, kind of just another Worlds.
Yeah,
Everybody was looking forward to next year at the end of it.
everyone was
Yeah.
looking forward to next year. I had so many people being like, "All right, great, like see y'all next year." Because I think no matter what happens, we will probably see each other next year in some capacity.
Yeah.
The funny thing was, I went over. I had a friend who was playing Kill Team, the Warhammer side, and they were all talking about how they were surprised at how packed X-Wing was, because they were the ones who thought X-Wing was a dead game, and I was
Yeah.
telling them, "Oh, far from it."
That's the thing too, though, right? Is like optics,
Exactly. Yeah.
the way people see a game like X-Wing when it hasn't been getting a lot of support, and then the company, like, AMG announces that they're done with it. People are like, okay, well, they're just going to kind of go through the motions. They'll have a few dozen people show up, and they'll corner them in a little room and get that done.
Yep.
And I heard, I can't corroborate this or not, but I heard that the post Worlds recap photos did not include photos of X-Wing or Armada from AMG. I
Oh,
don't know if
wow.
that's true.
That's
If that
so
is true,
petty.
that's really petty. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised. Not any sort of deliberate commentary on AMG, but like, I
Yeah.
hope that's not true.
I don't know, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised in that. Now, the one thing we can say for sure is that X-Wing of all of the events had the most people signed up for it, had the most attendees playing tournament level play
Of the AMG events.
of the AMG events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is just like, I
Interesting.
mean, how does AMG? The true answer is they probably just don't care. But like, is it a
Yeah.
little embarrassing? Is
No.
it? Do they? To me, I would be a little, if I was like an Asmodee, like a high level Asmodee employee, I would notice that and be like, wow. But when it doesn't matter, there's no hidden narrative like superhero story or whatever about like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm inspired by the numbers, we're gonna bring it back. It's like that's not happening.
A part of me now is like, no, like we got a good thing with XWA. Like
Right. Yeah. Do
Yeah,
we
no,
even want them to bring it back?
no,
right.
no, no. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. By the
Yeah.
way, I'm wondering, just like if somebody's paying attention, they have to. That's a noticeable thing.
Yeah, for
Right.
Wow,
sure. Right. It's yeah.
they really showed up last year, and then they still really showed up this year. Choice
We're
of card or die. A lot of people just chose not to die.
Yeah.
They chose to show up and
choice of
play.
card or
Choice of
die.
card or die.
We're a passionate
if
community,
no one
man.
if no one understands that reference, the prize wall for X-Wing and Armada and Shatterpoint, the AMG prize wall, for X-Wing, it listed on the wall very vaguely and cryptically said choice of card or die, and the die is like is defense die or marbled a new marbled defense or attack die. They looked pretty cool, a little
Right.
harder
Yeah.
to read, but they looked really cool. But it's just like the way it was phrased, it was just like immediately like, okay, there's a little like immediate quip that people can make, kind of like making fun of the situation, because it just looks like it's a threat, like a veiled threat.
A little bit.
Barely
Yeah.
veiled.
Barely veiled, a not so veiled threats
Yeah.
is what I meant to say. But yeah, before we get into the details of like, obviously talking about the games, what'd you guys think of the prizes?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say next.
Okay.
The prizes were, like an official printing of the print and play cards. They gave everybody as a participation prize, Karsabi, and the rest of them were you got an alternate art on the back of the card, but the front of the card was the same as you would get in the TIE Phantom pack, which was wild to me. So I spent all of my tickets on dice because the dice were cool, but now I
Yeah.
have
You didn't get any
tons.
Atomic Mass games like pins or
Oh yeah,
temporary
that's right.
tattoos or anything?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nothing
They
like
also had patches, pins, for the same price as a die. Except well, the patches were you could get 4 dice or you could get
Yeah.
a
Well, dude,
Atomic
if they
Mass
had made
Games
like an
patch.
X-Wing patch or like an X-Wing temporary tattoo or pin, I would have gotten a bunch of those. But
Yeah.
AMG,
Those have been
it was
selling
just
like
AMG
hotcakes.
branded. I mean, I don't want to say the word insulting, but it's just like they knew that nobody wanted those, right? Like that, like who wants
Well,
that?
they put it in there, I think, as just filler because otherwise they only have 3 different kinds of prizes you could get.
Yeah,
Right.
the
Yeah. It
cards were
was.
plastic To be fair, I didn't realize that because it didn't say plastic on the wall; it just said card. They were plastic, so that's why they were more expensive ticket wise. But they were very faded. Like the print quality was not good. Muted, I guess, is a better word to
Yeah,
describe
but
it. So
yes, you get a waterproof card.
yeah. And
Yes.
I got to be honest, guys, I know that my prescription on my glasses has changed, so I'm not the best person to ask, but the new dice, as gorgeous as the marbling is, the results themselves in terms of legibility leave a bit to be desired. I found myself not knowing what the defender rolled on their defense dice pretty often,
Yeah,
and the crits were very hard to see.
The
Very
crits are
yeah,
difficult.
hard to see. It's
yeah.
true.
The crits in the defense die or the defense die is a little harder to read than the attack dice on this one. I will say it is still better than the old red and smoke die from a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, those are you have to paint those to
Yeah.
use. I mean, I'm a firm believer that if you're using dice that your opponent can't read, that is an NPE and should be addressed.
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
you, unfortunately, there's just a lot of cool promo dice that have been won or distributed over the past like decade, over a decade, that are just harder to read. Like the frosted like white,
Yeah.
the clear semi-translucent ones. Those are
Oh
like
yeah, those are
prized,
awful.
and those are very hard to read.
Yeah.
But yes, the smoky, the hyperspace trials dice that you're talking about, I etched
Mhm.
mine with white Sharpie so I could use them.
Yeah, I filled mine in with just some like white acrylic paint.
Yeah,
And because you have to. I think the white actually looks cooler than the red too. I will
yeah,
say
totally.
though, I think gold is still the best color they could have picked because I don't know if there's just a way that they could have made it more legible. But I
Yeah,
don't know. They're
I think
neat
I'll go over
overall.
mine with another gold layer or two just to really make it more pop more.
Just
I think
yeah.
that's the plan, is just to do that.
Be cool.
Before, real quick, just for those that are watching, because we're doing this live on Twitch for subscribers, I do have my template tray signed by dozens and dozens of players. A lot of people that I've played with for a long time or that I've known of in X-Wing for a long time. This is my first ever template tray. Um, wood made out of wood here that our friend Austin just made for me out of the kindness of his heart, because he had a wood shop he had access to, and so yeah, I decided to bring a Sharpie and just ask people to sign it. It looks super awesome. It's going to be a prized possession of mine for a very, very long time.
Yeah, that was a
So even
cool
though
idea.
X-Wing's still going, it's kind of an end of a type of era of X-Wing, at least from an official support perspective, right? So will I get to see all these people in the same room again? I hope so, but probably not likely all of these people. So yeah, I just wanted to take advantage of that.
That's great.
Yeah. No, that was a very cool idea.
So guys, should we talk about the people who are better than us?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
what's
happy to.
the final breakdown? I mean, we can look at what was Worlds in the AMG meta, what was the faction distribution like, and yeah,
Let me
how did
bring
our
up that poll that we
predictions
did really quick. Just
come to
um
fair? Yeah,
let's see. I have to scroll up. Oh, that's the podcast chat that I have to do. 1 second.
correct.
Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Lots of chatter in that. Here we go. Okay. So which faction wins Worlds? It wasn't, let's see, what was the sample size here? 38 votes. So, not a ton of people, but it
Yeah,
was, a decent variety of people.
but
And
brave
Rebels was,
souls willing to venture a guess.
yes, 17 people said Rebels, 45%. And then Empire was the runner up at 26%. So Rebels did win Worlds. They showed up in massive force. Actually more massive than I thought compared to Empire. I was like, oh wow, there's really not that much Empire. There
Yeah,
was a lot of Empire, but I was like, whoa, there's not as much Empire as I thought. You know what? You know why? I'm gonna die on this hill. Tomax Bren went up to 4 points. That's
Yeah.
the big deal there for me, is why Empire wasn't as popular. That was a huge change for that faction. It was the best value piece you could have possibly hoped for.
yeah,
Yes.
Now that he was four
yeah.
points,
He was
people
a
are
bit
like,
he's a bit nuts at 3.
yeah. And the list you could build with him at 3 was just like, it was just nuts. So, um, any of that surprise you though, guys? Like just in terms of like what you guys saw like firsthand as you were playing, like looking around in terms of list archetypes or just faction representation? Did anything make you turn your head, or make you think, oh, like I thought I was expecting this, but my expectations have been subverted?
I expected more Republic. I not quite like as dominant as it was in the previous year, but I expected it to be like I expected there to be a top three, basically a Rebels, Empire, and Republic as like the solid, like these are the most competitive choices, and everything else down there is solidly tier two. And it was very sparsely represented. Um, I think it came in at looks like fifth overall in terms of representation. Like Empire was underneath Resistance even, and then Republic was under was tied with Scum for faction distribution.
That's insanity.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's an odd world to be living in. But my testing going in proved to me that like the rebel list that basically the rebel list that was the majority of the top eight, the two X-wings and Fen. I guess not the majority of the top eight, but made up a significant chunk of the cut. Um, was just the best thing to be doing.
Hmm.
It's powerful, it's streamlined, it's efficient, it has like insane offense, has pretty good defense, and is just generally like nicely well rounded. And from there, it was breaking down like, okay, how do you beat this? Very often you don't. How do you beat it at objectives? Very often you don't. So what do we do there? Um,
Did you
yeah,
guys have the B wings, the Battle over Endor B wings, on your bingo, like still being a thing on your bingo card? Because I was like, there's a lot of B wings,
Yeah,
a lot of Ginas
especially
too.
right, especially with them going up in points too.
Yeah,
the first list that I tested, for Worlds was basically Wedge, Luke, Gina, Braylon, and my conclusion was like a four ship list is not quite good enough, but that's still a packs a walloping punch.
Hmm.
yeah, it would be a nightmare to play against Steve with a five
Yeah,
ship list. Like, no, 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 no,
yeah, no, thank you.
no, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I had I got lucky, guys. I played against two rebel lists in 10 rounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what was
Uh,
your? I,
I mean,
now I'm looking.
no,
What
I
was
mean, I
your?
will say so. Day two, Rebels made up 39.6% of the total field, so that's not surprising.
Interesting. So
yeah, but day one, I expected to face more rebels. I don't know why. I placed more resistance than I expected, including a 7 ship resistance list to start the day, which was wild. That was something. A lot of Falcons for the resistance,
Yeah.
though. Our dear
Yes.
friend Gold Squadron podcast in the Twitch chat mentioning, I think, a lot of Chewies and Rays.
Falcons were kind of everywhere.
Yeah, we saw that. I was going to reiterate, like I kind of felt the same way that Samuel did. Thought I would be seeing a lot more Republic, and didn't really see that much at all. Um, and saw hardly any FO. Um, and I thought that I'd be running into Empire a lot more often, but didn't really run into that either. I'd say even for me, most of my games were against Rebels.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like let's if we were to look through the global player lens and be like, this is like you got to bring something to tech against this. I would have to think that a lot of people were just thinking about target locks, because rebels like
Mm-hmm.
love taking target locks. The list
Hmm.
needs locks to achieve its goals. That's why Marcel brought Gorin and did really well with it.
Yep.
Is because that disrupts so much of Empire and Rebels strategies. Republic, not as much, because there's a lot of barrage rocketing and like delayed lock taking and stuff like that, right? But
Sure.
clearly, people were expecting to see a lot of alpha type stuff, and a lot of that points to Rebels with Wedge's APT, Luke's proton torpedo, and then the B wings. You know, Gina has a proton torpedo.
A
I'm
juked
the
proton
Resistance
torpedo, even.
Falcons. Yeah, right, exactly. The Resistance Falcons is like an interesting way to address that because they have a lot of health, but also a
Yeah.
lot of hull and low agility. But they also could make T-65s disappear very quickly. They're like
Right.
magicians in that way, especially Ray.
Right.
Yeah.
Ray is very scary
Yeah, the
against the
Ray Rose
T-65.
Finn combo. I mean, it works amazing on defense too.
Yep. And heroic too. Just like, oh no,
Mhm.
I rolled a blank, add a blank, reroll, two blanks, reroll, add a third blank. There's like so many heroic opportunities as well, which I still don't really understand how you're allowed to do that. Like I get how, but it just seems kind of like defeats the purpose. Like you never rolled that die, you added the result. You're gonna
Right.
tell me now you can heroic, like you know,
It
it works, but it just kind of dumb.
right.
It's so dumb.
This is a weird hill to die on. I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
very cheesy.
Is it? No, I don't think it is. I think for Ray, it's like adding reinforced tokens to shots. Like it's so good because of her ability plus the ability to add results is not. There's a reason why you don't see it very often in X-wing.
Sure.
Being
Yeah,
Yeah.
able to add
it's
results,
extremely powerful. Yeah.
right? Now, was Ray a problem at Worlds? No, I was. Did I
Right.
have to deal with one in my last round of day 2 to get knocked out? Yeah, I'm not gonna. But yeah, it's heroic is nasty. On Ray. Otherwise, it's very fair. Um, Not often do you get a chance to reroll your blanks with your X-wings. When I'm playing Rebels, I don't get to do that really ever. So I'm just jealous. I'm just a
That's
jealous guy.
no, you just get a double modded APT that hits like 5
Right.
dice every time.
Yeah.
What?
That
No. Well,
that
what's
you
even better is I'll just boost deplete, remove the deplete. And it's like, oh, I
Right,
can't stop you.
exactly.
Oh, there's just nothing I can do to stop this. Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
know what you're talking about.
it's just happening to you.
yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's like it's gotten to the point, like going back to us bringing our lists and what were our expectations were. The meta had gotten to kind of to a point where it's just like AMG just hands you something. It's like, hey, just use this. Like, bring this. You gotta
Yeah,
bring this, right?
absolutely.
So like
It's
Wedge is very much a you gotta bring this. Like you're not bringing it. What are you doing, man? What the heck are you even doing here if you're not bringing Luke or Wedge? What are you doing?
the rebel lists feel very pre-constructed. Like
Well, I
you
was
are you are just taking the best things at slot and playing them and just moving on with your life.
yeah. I mean, however, the second place list, it found no wedge, no battle over end or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
The
It
winning
seemed
list,
that
though, does have wedge.
yeah. It seemed like the Fang Fighters prevailed over the double T-65. I
Yeah.
thought Paul Heaver and I's archetype would be. I mean, Paul made top 8, so he wasn't far off. But the I6, I6, I5, and in his case, the swarm tactics to make it 3 I6s, I thought was gonna get over the hump of the Bodica archetype with Ahsoka. But clearly, double tap and action economy with an I5 3 agility. Like that's all high agility besides one X-wing. I understand why it won. I get it. It's not my flavor, but that's like that's a crutch of like that I'm leaning in terms of me being like, it's not my flavor, even though it's better. And I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Next, like I'm like, that's better, but I don't like that. I like my Keo with Lone Wolf and ion missiles. You like your Keo with Juke and vectored cannons, and I know that's better, but I don't
We
care.
are not the same.
We are not the same.
Yeah, I mean that comes down to being an exceptional player, especially with those fangs. When you're playing with something that's more of a glass cannon, and you have 2 of them in your list, but you can play at that high enough level. I mean, that's where you're really going to shine through. That's what it takes to get to the top, is being able to fly those glass cannons consistently well.
Yeah. X-Wing is such a weird game because the everything's such small sample sizes and player skill is so enormous.
Hmm.
And so like trying to take data away from like, okay, was the actual like double Fang fighter Ahsoka build ostensibly better, or was it just flown by someone that could have mopped the floor with anybody he went up against? Like it's hard to tell.
Yeah, you know what I told Louis? I drove Louis back to O'Hare at the end of the day on Sunday, and I told him it's like you get to a certain point, you make cut, you make day two. It's just a lot of fortune. It's a lot of RNG that goes
Oh,
Yeah,
your way.
for
absolutely.
sure.
And Bodica, double tapping Bodica is certainly an example of like, well, just like, double tap's real good if you're rolling all paint and you're rolling a lot of hits.
Yeah,
But
lean into
there are
the
a lot of
upside.
times where Bodica does absolutely jack shit in for you, and you're like, cool, I just have a Fang fighter that can explode.
Yeah,
Um, it's a glass cannon kind of thing. And you hope that you get the results you need. I mean, obviously that goes for anything, any game when there's RNG, especially X-Wing.
right.
But it's just something. It's just really you get to a point where a lot of luck goes your way, and that's why you win. That's why you win it all. It's because
I
you got lucky in a lot of ways at
I mean,
times.
right. I mean, I think that's exactly what that is. Like once you're in day two, it's gonna be a lot of skill, but then also a lot of luck. You also just kind of you got to
Yeah.
be a little lucky.
Yeah, and that's not to say that it has, it's a lot. It mostly has to do with your skill level and decisions.
Right.
But the best way to be is to put yourself in a position where luck benefits you. If you're making decisions and choices where luck doesn't factor in at all, like you need to set yourself up to be benefited by good fortune, if that makes
Right.
sense, right? Like
Exactly.
you need to put yourself in that position, and that's where the best players in the world thrive, is that
For
they do
sure.
that all the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're talking about the difference between like top 16 and, top 40, Like we're like skill is still the most important element here.
Yeah. Rule
Definitely.
1, roll well. Rule 2, set yourself up to roll well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Rule
just
1, roll well. Rule 2, don't roll
don't
badly.
roll
And
badly.
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. I had a great moment in one of my games where Fen Rao had Beskar, a Focus, and Concordia, and Wedge rolled 3 hits and a crit into Fen, and Fen blanked out and still died. And I was like, wow. Like, what
Jeez.
are the odds of that happening?
That's pretty good.
That's some bad luck.
I was like, okay. I best carded still died. It's like, it's bad when that happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Real good stuff. Well, we can talk about obviously the winning list and some other lists that stand out to us. It is the most internet thing for me to pronounce. The winner of the X-Wing World Champion, his name on Roll Better is Squishy Balls.
One,
That is
no plural.
Singular ball.
Squishy Balls list. So it's just plural because it says list after it.
Okay.
His name is Squishy Ball, but I like Squishy Balls even better because it just looks even worse.
But that's not his name.
It's not, but it looks like it is when I'm reading the Roll Better breakdown because it plural. It made it plural.
Gotcha.
So Kalen Wong, aka Squishy Ball, not balls. Let the record show it is one ball.
It's so
Brought
sad.
Rebels. Let the record show. Brought his Rebel list with that 2-Fang archetype. He had Wedge Antilles, Battle over Endor. Honestly, the best designed way. Anybody who's ever had a complaint about anything wrong with custom Wedge or the Battle of Yavin Wedge, this Battle over Endor Wedge, every one of those qualms is answered. The design is just immaculate. He's so
Yeah.
good. He's got extra health, linked actions, access to rerolls, the R2A3 advanced proton torpedo. He has the initiative. He's got everything, right? He's just so good for 5 points. He
Silly.
leads most, was very good, right? I don't know if he's close to broken. If he had a proton torpedo, I would be really curious. Probably busted at that point. He would
For
be
sure.
completely busted because he's like,
For
cool, easy
sure.
double mods, easy double mods. At least he has to
Yeah.
get into range 1, which is very hard to
Right.
stop.
Right.
Um,
But
he had Fen
he's got the
Rao.
boost.
He's got the boost, and he is a X-Wing sommelier. He is a fine pairing with Fen Rao in the Fang Fighter because Fen Rao allows him to remove his stress tokens, his deplete tokens, before he engages if he is at range 1 to 2 of Fen. Wedge, as long as he has an enemy ship in his front arc, or I think either in their front arc rather, you can remove one of those non-lock red tokens, and it's just keeps Wedge very mobile and just good. Fen had clan training, crack shot, and Beskar reinforced plating. My version of Fen didn't have clan training or crack shot. It had Mando optics, and Predator, but this is also really good because Crackshot is really good. Boudica in the Fang as well. This is the one that, as long as she's not the one getting shot at, if a friendly ship gets shot at, she can just double tap and shoot at the attacker, and then gain a deplete to do so. She has marksmanship, Predator, and Beskar reinforced plating. And then Ahsoka Tano, one of the few changes in the last update, kind of pseudo update they gave us, points update. She went down from 5 to 4. 3 force can spend 2 to give friendlies actions at range 1 to 2, even while stressed. With instinctive aim, marksmanship, and Magpulse warheads. Magpulse is clearly, very strong in a in salvage mission, and just being a good tech piece against lower initiatives. She's an I5, right? So very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yep.
Sabine in the tie rounds out the list. 5 shipper. Pattern analyzer clearly shows the data favored 5 ship lists, but there were more 4 ship lists than I expected. But I knew a 5 ship list was going to win Worlds, and I figured it'd be a Rebel list. And for it to be a list with Fen, Boudica, and Ahsoka in it, that's pretty neat, because 2 of those 3 were not played in any very serious competitive capacity for quite a long time. So cool to see them be popular in the wrapping things up here with AMG Worlds. What are your guys' thoughts?
The Fenrau build is very interesting to me. Again, we're just leaning into upside, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're leaning into variance with, there's skill there, but Crackshot being good is sometimes a bit of variance, and it can be kind of useless sometimes. So it's an interesting slot to bring. I really like Ahsoka. I want to talk about this a little bit later, but Andrew and I played a doubles tournament where we brought Ahsoka with some other stuff, and was very impressed with Ahsoka at 4.
Yeah.
Ahsoka at
No.
4 is a heck of a ship.
Yeah. Just really great ability. She's great for objectives. She's great on defense. If you don't want to use that ability, and on offense as well, by being able to take concussion missiles on her too. Just all around, I think Ahsoka is one of the linchpins that can make like that archetype work, or just something that's giving the extra actions.
Yeah. No patience. She's there's some builds where she will just kind of, as long as she's got somebody in front arc, she just recovers her force, so she can like consistently use her ability every turn.
Yeah.
Otherwise, after 2 rounds, you 4-starve her where she can't use her ability. And that's when she's the most vulnerable. But
Mm-hmm.
again, Kaylin's like, I'm going for the damage. I'm going for I'm going to coordinate somebody, and then I'm probably shooting a mag pulse with a force at someone
Right.
else or whatever.
Especially in AMG points, like how often, I guess anecdotally, Nick, how often were your games going past turn 6, like where Ahsoka being 4-starved for 2 turns really mattered?
Well, I mean,
Or would
I don't know
matter,
about
I
you guys,
suppose.
but I mean, I played, I think, 8 rounds on, maybe 7.5 rounds on average.
Interesting.
None of my games went to
Really?
time. I think maybe one of them, like almost all my games are resolved before time.
Huh.
I played a lot of rounds.
I was gonna say, I didn't really notice the extra 15 minutes as much, and I think a lot of that just because it was cutting into the setup time, it didn't really feel like it was making that much of an
Yeah.
impact on my games. I'd say most of my games went to like 6, like the standard six rounds.
Yeah. 6
Yeah.
rounds was pretty common for me.
Yeah, I loved being able to just set up and start. I gained an extra 10
Yeah.
to 15 minutes because of that. It was amazing. I'm pretty quick with my turn 0. I guess that helps. Like, I try to be fast on my end, but sometimes you have to really think things through depending on the matchup. It
Yeah,
takes some time.
yeah. I mean, my cards were all like almost all standard loadout cards, so it was really easy for me to set up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not have standard loadout cards. I brought resistance and had 16
Oh,
or
the
17
OGs.
individual cards to
Mhm.
set up. Not a lot of charges, thank God, but a lot of
Yeah.
cards to lay down.
Well, the one thing that takes the most time for me is I empty my dice bag, and then I have to portion out every single type of die with its own grouping. It's like my OCD. It's like terrible. Like I like okay, the the core set, like the core set looking marble dice from last year go in one pile. The sparkly attack dice get their pile. Sparkly
Oh
defense dice get a
no.
pile. Like, yeah, but it doesn't. I do it like while my opponent's like doing like I do it in a way that it doesn't eat up a lot of valuable time. But like
Sure.
I cannot just have a pile of these like all this like assorted dice, just like a it bothers me. It's like not, it's like getting out of bed and not making it, if that makes sense. Like I have to do it to feel like comfortable to proceed to play the game. And it's just, it's just me being a little cuckoo. It's fine. I've always been a little cuckoo anyways.
What I'm getting from this
Want
is
to talk
that
about
Nick
Fawn's
makes his
list?
bed. Yes,
I
let's do
do. I
that.
do. Ladies, he makes his bed. He has a bed frame. He has a bedpost. So Fawn's list, I need to go back to look at it. Andrew, do you want to? Is
Yeah,
it?
I
Oh
mean,
yeah, Sam or Andrew, either of you want to break down
yeah,
his
Samuel,
rebel
if
list?
you want to take this, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So we've got Double Fangs again, Fen Rao, Fang Fighter, Swarm Tactics, Clan Training, Beskar, Bodica, Predator, Clan Training, Beskar, Keo with Lone Wolf and Magpulse, then Luke, Boy Luke in the T65, and Hall Okend in the Y Wing. This is the APT Y Wing from Battle over Yavin.
Only 3 points.
Battle of Yavin, excuse me. Only 3 points, which is kind of crazy considering he can just toss a double modded advanced proton torpedo at you.
Yeah. Just get past him though, and then he's stressed and he doesn't have R4 and he's pretty miserable. That's what I did.
Yeah,
He
that
just
makes a
never
lot of sense.
participated in the game at all. I just flew right past him, and he's like, I'm like, yeah, I knew he was gonna try to kill box my Luke, so I was like, I'm just gonna fly over a rock. I'll take a guaranteed 1 damage, maybe 2 over dead.
I mean,
So-
yeah, sometimes that's the right call.
That is
Right.
a good
Yeah,
level.
and he was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that." I was like, "Yeah." That was the game where I scored 18 salvage points because I got Luke behind everybody with a crate. Pretty good.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Fawn brought the Swarm Tactics Fen, that was a little more common. No double I6, so we're only swarming. I guess you're swarming Bodica or Hall up. If because Luke, like swarming Luke up is less valuable, but it's still very good. Still a powerful effect.
Yeah, Lone Wolf and ion missiles, like Keo with Lone Wolf is really solid, but or sorry, not ion missiles, Magpulse missile warheads.
Magpulses, yeah.
Um,
I suppose if
I3
you swarm up Keo, the Magpulse is much better. But
true.
then you're not
Yeah.
lone wolfing her, so I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so awkward. A Fang
very
fighter
awkward.
with swarm tactics is like, I just don't like it, especially like it makes more sense for like for Luke, but for like a Keo, yeah, it's still awkward.
I mean, it's for Bodica,
Sure. Yeah.
especially with the clan training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, for sure. They just kind of ride together, right? Ride or die together.
And then you guarantee the focus lock. Plus, you want Fen to be around so that they can knock off that deplete if it's like still there, or stress for the next turn.
Makes sense. I mean, it's a powerful combination. However you want to play it, it is, 2 I6s is, it kind of seems like, even if you are swarming one of them up to I6, 2 I6s kind of seemed like it was the necessity for playing the game, at least in AMG points. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, just the higher initiative in general.
You need it. Well, I'll say the necessity is you have to have an I5, and you really should have more than one combination of an I5/I6. Like
Sure.
if you don't, you probably will lose.
Yeah.
So the requirement is an I5 or higher in your list.
Unless you're doing something crazy like Marcel, or like with Gore playing the Goran lists.
True. CIS will take Dirge usually, so like he counts, but yeah, that's true. Marcel basically found a pocket to be able to exploit because everyone kind of gravitated towards there. Basically, it got to the point where Marcel's like, I know exactly what everyone's bringing, so I know this will work.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just so predictable now, right? Enough.
It's a perfect meta call.
Yeah. No, and I mean, Marcel, I always expect Marcel to be in the running and top cut for an event like this, and proud of him.
Sure.
And I don't bat an eye when I see that, though. Like, I know that's where he belongs, and I'm happy that he played so well and represented Chicago so well as he tends to do. we can talk about his list. But yeah, Fawn's list, like and what's difficult about that matchup for him in the final table, I mean, he got, with all due respect to an incredibly good player that Fawn is, it was not close. It was not very
Hmm.
competitive, that final game, when it comes to score wise. Like, I don't know how much road mattered in that game, but there's a lot of overlap with initiative in that matchup, and
Oh,
that's
for
tough.
sure.
I mean, I think what would have been cool was to see like that 5 ship rebel list taking on like a scum list, or like a scum salad list, or a resistance list with Ray or something. Like that would have been a really cool, like, okay, like how is this going to unfold? Road doesn't matter too much. Or maybe it does on this turn, but like these other turns it's not as big of a deal. Like this is in a lot of ways a mirror when it comes to certain overlapping abilities, and
Yeah.
obviously the initiatives.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that also, I mean, this archetype is just so powerful. The rebel side just has so much offensive and defensive capabilities. I would also say that Fahn's list benefits from just being a lot more defensive in that the current meta. Still getting the extra action, still having the offensive output, but you have the additional hull just with the Y wing that you kind of have to ignore because everything else in the list is it's just so much more deadly. And then you also have the force with Keo and Luke being able to get that defensively, and then you have to have the maneuverability and agility of Bodica and Fen, especially with the Beskar reinforced plating in uh, meta right now, where you know proton torpedoes and crit generation is just so easy. So having an answer to that can just be so powerful. I was going to say the one unfortunate thing, and I think that's something that we kind of knew, is that like I don't think we were ever close to seeing like Scum and the
No.
at like the top
I
in the
know. That's
finals.
why I course corrected and said a resistance list with Ray, because like that was more
Sure.
possible.
Yeah,
And
there's two of those. There is not yeah,
yeah,
two of them in top 8, right? Two resistance array lists,
There's one
or two in top
resistance list in
16.
top eight,
Sorry.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, two in the top 16, and there's two separatists in the top 16 as well.
yeah. Um, I want to talk about
Actually,
Duncan, because
there's four resistance lists in the top 16.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's very cool. Duncan has always been one of the, like, he's an elite player. Duncan is like the Shohei Otani of X-Wing, in my opinion. Like the
yeah,
dude, just like you expect him to just be a stud, and he delivers. That's the thing. He didn't get he went pretty far in cut, but he did lose top 4 to Levi, who's on my Nickel City X-Wing draft league team. Levi was rocking a 312 painted TIE fighter, which was really cool, and I didn't even know it.
yeah,
Um, Sorry, he lost. I think it was top 8 that he had lost to Levi, not top 4. But anyways,
yes,
Duncan brought a list that really seemed like, I think he brought it because it was kind of an homage to his days of playing 2.0 with custom Soontir, and also to try to prove what he always proves, is that I can build a list that nobody else is going to expect me to bring, and I'm going to do incredibly well with it. And it was a 4-ship Empire list without a single standardized loadout. And I think
yeah.
what he was trying to prove was, I don't need an SL to win. And he, I mean, dude, how many people bringing this list would get even within 40 placements of where he ended up? I mean,
No, I
this is a
mean,
crazy list that he
yeah,
brought.
it's wild. He won a tournament with it too.
Yeah.
For a world's prep tournament like 2 weeks ago. So we knew he was going to bring this list. But still won a whole tournament. But yeah, that's just showing you its player skill is really so important, because this list in other people's hands is not going this far for sure.
This is
No, yeah,
and
it's
go
go ahead.
ahead. Oh,
No, no,
I
no,
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say this is just an excellent example of like a player that can win with a ham sandwich, winning with a ham sandwich. Like there is, there is just
Yeah, yeah.
like it's and I get it. Like there's elements of this that are good against the metagame, and I understand all the choices, but like you're like he tied one hand behind his back and won anyway.
I know. And for those of you guys wondering what he brought, I mean, it's custom Vader's the 7-point Vader. with
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant Evasion, Debris Gambit, Pattern Analyzer, Fire Control, and Afterburners. A lot of loadout, as he should be. 7 points. Very hard to take off the board, though. As Debris Gambit and Brilliant Evasion alone is just very strong on Vader. And then he's got Soontir. He's got the other 5-point Soontir, the one that lets you take Juke and Predator. Basically, just evade boost or evade barrel roll, line up bullseye, have the reroll, have the focus with Soontir's ability, and Juke your opposition. Duncan Howard, I when I first was introduced to X-Wing, Duncan was known to me as the Soontir Fel player. Like, he's the best Soontir Fel player in the world. And he brought his love, and he did really well with Soontir, which honestly is a great storybook ending to his like official X-Wing career when it comes to official support. Yeah, Fifth Brother, the V1, that's the I4, 2 force, spend 2 force after the neutralized result step. If the attack hits, you add a crit damage to the attack. He has fire control system and concussion missiles, and then Vizier with Emperor Palpatine. So that's a 4 shipper, and Palpatine giving that extra help to Fifth Brother, Vader,
Whoever
and
needs it.
Soontir, whoever needs it.
Yeah, very 2.0 list for sure.
Yes, this is the heyday list, but recreated for 2.5.
I was just gonna say we had a like 10 to 12 people on the Twitch side, and everyone dropped off, and I just don't think they care. Not to say that this isn't very important, because it is. I just find it amusing. They're like, all right, I'm gonna watch some XWA X-Wing or something. Like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because Lambeau was like, it's just us. I'm like, it is, and that's that's enough. Like, that's all we need.
That's
for
all
it
we
to be
need.
the best
Well,
subscriber podcast stream ever.
Yeah, well, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great to see Lambolo and spend time with him. He's a huge supporter of us and GSP and the X-Wing community at large. He's been just an amazing, generous man, and we got to hang out with him. Bought him a drink, of the many that I owe him for sure. Got to get him at least one. Got get to knock one of those down. Also, real quick, like, we're just talking about Duncan's list. We can keep talking about it, but like, I don't know how to fit this into the conversation, but I just want to give in terms of overall vibes and stuff, like we were talking about at the beginning, the fact that Alex Davey, who helped develop X-Wing 2nd Edition, just showed up, brought scum, and played really well with it and made day 2. It just blew my mind and made me so happy, because it's like, here you are playing without really, a lot of people didn't know who this person was, because he hasn't been a part of the design team in a long time. But to be able to play alongside or against someone who created the game that you love and helped make it the version of the game that you love, it's just the vibes. Like, it's just so good for morale. I'm so happy he was there. It was such a pleasure meeting him and talking with him and picking his brain. And
yeah, it's so cool.
we could. He brought a 5-ship scum list with Fen Rao and Manaru and Bosk and I think Dirge and Lima, and he kicked ass. I mean, not surprising considering he knows the game really well, but it's just his attitude was a really great kind of reinforcement of, hey, we're not done yet, right? Like, this game is awesome, and the people who play it will continue to play it. We're not like walking away. And he said the same. He's like, yeah, there's like no reason why community support can't thrive.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, he's a super cool, super nice guy, and also, I mean, yeah, it's fun that they still are deeply in love with the game that they helped create and have contributed to. It was really neat.
Gives you that warm fuzzy feeling.
Is there do we want to talk about, is there any other list we want to talk about besides the Goran list by Marcel? Maybe talk about one of these resistance archetypes, just because we've been talking about resistance. We can kind of talk about one of those as well. Like, what do you guys think?
We can talk about resistance. The Goran list is fun, but it's I don't know how interesting it is to talk about, because it's a meta list built to fight against specific things that no longer exist. And Marcel's a great player and a very good list builder and brought a cool list, but also it's...
What do you mean it's a meta list built against things that no longer exist? What do you mean?
Well, so like the setup for AMG points is, okay, we are playing hyper efficient I5 plus with target locking, right? Is that
Yeah.
kind of what we've been saying?
I mean, mostly, right? There, yeah, with
Yeah,
few
like
exceptions.
with a few exceptions, but that is generally what we are setting up to play. With the Goran list, like you are saying, okay, I know that you are trying to do that. I can eliminate at key points your ability to do the one thing that you're trying to do that makes your list efficient, and then pick you apart from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just do really quick. I mean, it's Goran with sensitive controls and shield upgrade. Countdown, who's impossible to kill with shield upgrade, discipline, and ruthless. Because every time Countdown would take a bunch of damage, Countdown's like, I'll just take a damage of distress and cancel everything instead.
Yeah.
Fair off with targeting computer, tactical officer, and ruthless for the coordinating ability. Also defensive because of his ability. If you're attacking him and you don't have any green tokens, he just gets an auto evade. Scimitar 1, easy double modded proton torpedoes. If a friendly shoots at anybody, Scimitar 1 has them in range. You can spend one of 2 charges to just gain a lock. It just focuses every turn. Gets an easy double modded pro torp. And then 2 black squadron aces. Those are 2-point generics. So it's a 6-ship list. Gorn is the key to as George Lucas would say, is the key to all of this. If he goes down, the list is just awful. No offense, but it is. He
I mean,
needs to stick around.
It's a bunch of low initiative ships that will pop if you point a proton torpedo at them, but Goran makes them powerful.
Goran's like, I'll take away that target lock so you don't get a proton torpedo and give them an evade.
Yep.
And just having the extra body just really helps out with objectives too, even if it is like those 2 black squadron aces.
This is exactly what I would like if I was going to draw up what I would say a like meta attacking list in AMG points looked like. It would be this: you're playing objectives, you're playing against like the one particular thing that everyone's going to play, and you're being efficient and rolling a lot of agility dice.
Yeah, and I mean, and it worked out for him too.
Yeah,
it worked out. How about the resistance list? Who wants to, if you guys see one that you want to mention before we kind of start to wrap things up here?
I really like Ninja Elf. I believe this is Nicholas Tobin. His list for it's Poe in the Y or in the Falcon, Jarek Yeager, Elo Asti, Temin Wexley, and BB-8. It's a and they're all loaded up with most of them actually are loaded up with Ferrosphere, the ones that can take it. And Jarek Yeager is M9G8 plus marksmanship, heroic, targeting computer, and Kaz's fireball. And then Poe has all the Poe stuff with Trickshot, Lone Wolf, Chewbacca, Ray, Engine Upgrade, and Ray's Millennium Falcon. This list just hits really hard, and so I watched the top 16 game that he played that against Paul Heaver, and I can firmly say that what that came down to was the way that crits got doled out. He took like 3 blinded pilots in the game, and just like could not really play the game anymore from an early point moving forward. This list is pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, you gotta bring that. You gotta sink as much into it as possible as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Especially if you get those crits through. Yeah, blinded pilot, weapons failure. Damage sensor array is really brutal too. The wombo combo of damage sensor array and blinded pilot. Oh,
Yeah, it's
that's
he
something else.
he kind of couldn't play the necessity of double modding in AMG points, just like I mean in X-wing in general, but in AMG points it's hyper important. He just couldn't do it, and Paul picked him apart from there.
Any give a shout out to? Well, I do want to give a shout out to ISO, the California guy. I had the pleasure of playing him, and that's when my gaffes kicked in a little bit. I also had a very unlucky judge call go against me that I think could have really I would have helped me win that game. But he is always in the top cut convo, and he loves separatists, and he always plays well with CIS, even though CIS is kind of handicapped in a lot of ways. And he brought Dirge with Grievous to cancel hit/crit results Xandu blood and proton cannons, a couple of tri-fighters that get to like share tokens and take free locks. One of them is Predator, one of them is Crackshot. And then he brought 2 HMPs. One has Kraken to keep the calculates around. That's that tactical relay. Very, very strong. The other one has cluster missiles and Discord missiles. And then a couple of vultures. We have a TFS 081 with independent calcs and energy shell charges, as well as the struts to just sit on rocks and pivot around. And then the Iron Assembler has discords and independent calculations. So 7 ships. It's a lot. Cheap, very cheap. It's really hard to play against this list on scenarios like Assault because they just take a lot of points from you early on because there's so many of them. And then when you start to try to play catch up, you're always just a couple of points behind. That's what happened to me. But, shout out to Isophane. Great dude, super generous as well, supporting the community and very good.
Yeah, brought a great list. Doug Howe, the other separatist, did as well. And if you're looking at like the pattern analyzer results, and if you are looking at the day 2 results and pairings, you're going to see that Separatist Alliance has a 70% win rate because there's just 2 players who dominated so hard.
I'm glad you mentioned that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it maybe like I had profited that maybe Separatist was a sleeper faction, but looking at the numbers, in reality it's just Doug Howe and Isophane are the
Yeah.
sleeper faction.
I lost to both
whatever.
of those guys. I
Yeah.
lost to both of those guys.
Yeah,
Well,
that'll do it.
there you go. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
They only have 2 losses in day 2. So combined.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
when him and I were paired up, he was super depressed about it. I was like, dude, we still have one more game after this. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. Like, we can still make it, both of us. He's like, oh, okay. And then beat me. So
that's really funny.
well, there you go. Yeah. So CIS 3.7% of the factions represented in day 2, but with a 70% win rate. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
And also
Decent.
with
good.
also 100% cut rate to top 16.
Yeah, that's my favorite stat. In the final AMG world, CIS at 100% cut rate.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it was good to see some more variety than I was expecting. It was nice to see Resistance with the Resistance Falcons performing well. It's good to see, honestly, the people that I would hope and would expect to make cut, and to be able to experience playing alongside you guys and also some of these folks who have been playing X-Wing for 3 times as long as we have and who have stayed so dedicated and committed to being a part of the community. And honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better experience. We're all exhausted from it, but it's a good kind of exhaustion. It's just conventions just do that to you. And it's I wouldn't say it's bittersweet just because I know that nothing's over. But it's just weird, I guess, to like be like, man, I'm glad on one hand that we get to end the official support on like such a high note with such good vibes and optimism and positivity and experiences. But on the other hand, I just never really expected diving into X-Wing as deep as I have with 312 Squadron for us to like be here where we're talking about how there is no more official support, right? Like we've had a long time to quote unquote grieve and get over it, and I'm pretty much over it.
Yeah.
But just reminiscing and reflecting, it's like, damn, here we are. This is where we're at, and it's time to keep moving, keep marching on. But I couldn't have asked for a better quote unquote like final worlds when it comes to like sanctioned.
Oh, for sure.
worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all the people that really make it. And that's been true from the beginning.
Any other last kind of thoughts or comments or complaints, insults my way, anything like that?
No, well, I mean, I was going to say, I do want to give just a big shout out to the Gold Squadron podcast for allowing me to fill in and do some commentary at Worlds. That was an absolute joy, pleasure, and just something that I'm so grateful for, and was just one of the coolest experiences that made my weekend.
Yeah, I love that you got to do that. They did a great job covering worlds as they have always done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Sam, what about you, man?
Super fun. I want to give a shout out to Andrew actually because he and I mentioned this before, but he and I played the doubles tournament
Yeah, we did the partner tournament.
on Saturday, and it was easily hands down the most fun I've ever had playing X-wing. Like
Honestly, same.
X-wing's great, but like being able to like strategize and talk through and like put together a plan in on the fly while like putting our brains together and making it work, like that was great. You
Hmm.
were a great partner, and I had a blast. It was so much fun.
Honestly, you as well. I learned so much playing from you. You're exceptionally skilled. No, that was one of the best like experiences that I've had all weekend as well.
Yeah,
I will say I kind of wish that there was like an official partners like tournament
that's
either.
what
Like
I'm
it like
saying.
not just a side event, but I think it would be really cool to do something like
Yeah,
that just in regular X-Wing.
The logistics of it, I'm sure, are terrible, and trying to figure out like how okay,
probably.
how do we make a tournament with double the number of players in it with the
Yeah,
same
I
setup.
mean,
Like I
right.
can't imagine it would ever work, but it was so much fun.
It was a blast, yeah.
And Doug Kenny, I got to meet and play for the first time, being the first ever world champion, playing at the last official Worlds, um, bringing this incredible Mos Eisley like pod race course made out of Lego that spanned
Yeah.
like
So
5 feet,
cool.
that like had a sign up sheet because so many people were playing and racing each other. Like, and I took a cool picture of like Poe Dameron on the other end, which I honestly overdrive thrusters Poe is like a cheat in that, but it's really funny. You just bring what you want. And it's just like the goofiness and the fun, and
Oh,
like it
for
was just
sure.
so like I wish I scrubbed out so I could play at that or played in the doubles thing, because you guys are talking about how much fun you had. And obviously, I don't actually wish I had scrubbed out, but a part of me is like, I missed that. The FOMO though, it's
Yeah,
tough because like it is what it is. Like, yeah. You played well enough to make day two. Like, shut up. I get it. But like I missed out, and I'm just acknowledging the
Hey,
fact that
well,
I
here
missed out.
the
Like,
thing is he's making it bigger and he's gonna bring it next year.
yeah, I'm not
He wants
surprised.
to
And he's
make
gonna
it
be
like
at Brick World. Did you hear
yeah,
about this?
I
He's
didn't hear
got a
about that.
so the Brick World is a Lego convention in Schaumburg, the same place that Adepticon used to be at in June usually. And he's going to have a display there because he's a Lego builder. He builds like Lego stuff, obviously. I mean, this trench or this Mos Eisley pod racing circuit, but like he showed me his design and it's incredible. I'm super excited to go so I can see his he's building a circular moving mosaic.
Oh.
I'm like, and he showed me the concept and everything, and like we kind of geeked out over Lego, and he's just like, what a dude! Like he's an absolute bro, and he allowed so many people to just goof off, drink, and just have fun. And I felt like that added a lot to the
Oh,
experience for people too. Him putting in that level of effort was just so awesome.
yeah, for sure. No, it was really cool for him to run. I got pictures of Stephen Weiland flying the Ghost through it,
oh,
which
nice.
if you see pictures of it on social media, because it was one of the most photographed things all weekend, the canyon is about as wide as the Ghost. So it's
Steven grabbed me from the tournament HQ desk and he's like, come here. And he put his arm around me and walked me all the way to the back table. And he walks me all the way around. And there's a ghost. He just points at it. He looks at me with a big wide smile. He's just pointing at it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, it was just like,
That's so fun.
everyone was just so giddy about it. It's like amazing. Oh,
it was
good
so
stuff.
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, from a Lego fan perspective, it's even cooler. Well, anything else, guys?
No, that's it.
No,
No other
yeah,
thoughts.
that's the same. I'm already back to list building for XWA, and so for me, it's not really slowing down at all. It's inspired me to really get better at X-wing. I think this year and get some more reps in.
And on that note, it's a great segue. We move into the world of the X-Wing Alliance. Us and many other communities who are going to seek to continue playing this amazing game of X-Wing are going to be moving to just playing XWA points. Um, and we invite those who are kind of skeptical or on the fence after this last Worlds to give it a shot. There are a lot of really exciting things happening with the X-Wing Alliance, which is not just a group of just a few people who like to pat each other on the back. This is a global community run initiative. and I'm very proud to be a part of it and working on the PR side of things to help spread communications. And I'm very thrilled with what I've seen on the inside with what is coming out. And a lot of you guys have seen the previews for the new pilots, which come out probably within just a couple of days of when this episode drops. And then we look forward to being able to look at maybe a newer points building structure that isn't too much of a deviation from what we're used to, but that kind of refines and tunes things up a little bit more. And, eventually maybe some scenario changes and other gradual but much needed and exciting additions and changes to the game that we love. So make sure you guys stay tuned. We always talk about XWA, and we have our own announcement channel to spread the XWA news. You guys could also join the X-Wing 2.5 edition server, which is where the XWA is basically hubbed. You can kind of stay up to date on the conversation there as well. We'll have a link in the description to that. And lastly, on the 312 side of things, we have our Conquest series starting this month. Today is April 1st when we're recording this. April Fools. I should have said something about quitting X-Wing at the beginning of this as a joke, but I just don't want anyone to actually think I'm being serious, because that's the risk of April Fools, is people take it seriously, because it's just another day for a lot of people. But in a couple of weeks, just a little over a couple of weeks, we'll have the Windy City Conquest to kick off our 9-month long Conquest series. We'll have one a month, single day events. We'll have a link to tickets to the first 3 and the next 3. The dates will be announced very soon. Online X-Wing. I know Sam, I think Andrew, both you guys have signed up to play in the Windy City Conquest.
Absolutely.
Super excited
to
host you guys.
I am excited.
There's just we're looking to do a lot of things and continue our growth. We appreciate all the support that our patrons have given us to allow us to do all of the amazing things that we've been able to do, including this Conquest series, which is a huge leap for us that I'm really amped up about. So lots of good stuff coming from XWA for the world of X-Wing and from 312. Make sure you guys subscribe to us on YouTube, like our Facebook page, join our Discord to be a part of an awesome community that we have there. And if you want to support us even further than the generous support you give us with your time and your subscriptions, you can also check out our Patreon. All right, that is going to do it for this episode. What is this, guys? Is this, Andrew, episode 28?
Episode 28.
28. That'll do it for us. My name is Nick Sperry.
I'm Andrew Kouba.
And I'm Samuel Graebner.
And we'll talk to you all and fly with you all very soon.
See you soon.